What's up, Fortnite fam? Chapter 2 Season 4 of the FNCS just wrapped up. That means we have a lot of winning trios all across the globe. Me, AussieAntics, and Reisshub are here to break down who won in every region of the PC track in the FNCS. With all that said, let's jump right in. Starting off in the Middle East, ASMR VAGNAR, the Ultimates 4X Pro, and the Ultimates DEXEFITE were the trio that won the region off of a tiebreaker on victory royales. Before the very last game, this team was 4 points behind the trio that was in first place. They got a higher placement and more eliminations in that last game to tie up the score, and they actually had 2 wins while the trio behind them had none, edging them forward off of the tiebreaker, getting them that Axe of Champions in the Middle East. They're so good at dropping pressure down all the way over from high ground. Pair that with how close this region was, Middle East was a must watch, and if you haven't seen it yet, you have to watch that last game to see how close it actually got towards the very end.
Your undisputed kings of OCE are none other than Renegades JYNX, Powerworthy, and ALECC AU. And I say undisputed because since the introduction of trios into OCE, they have been by far the most dominant and most consistent team. And that's what we saw in the grand finals. This team's path to victory came out of sweaty sands as they were uncontested every single qualifying week and the grand finals, showing just how scary this team is. When you line up the likes of JYNX, Worthy, and ALECC, no one wants to go toe-to-toe with them in the early game. Finishing on a total of 244 points, they only had 1 victory royale, but had an average placement of 4.9. This team knows what they need to do to play consistent, get high eliminations, and get those placement points. This now makes JYNX a 3 times FNCS champion, having won duos, solos, and now trios. He is undisputably the best player in OCE, being consistent in every single game mode.
Over in Asia, our winners were Rory, Bob, and Moffin. Rory and Moffin actually won the Season X trios with Rizzard, and then picked up Bob and ended up coming second in squads, so these guys were almost back-to-back FNCS champions. However, they've come back now to win the second FNCS trios, making these guys 2 times champions, and so nearly 3 times. Moffin is one of 2 people who have made every single grand final for each FNCS on the Asia region. For this FNCS, the end of day 1 was extremely tight, with both teams at the top being on 114 points. However, in day 2, Rory, Bob, and Moffin absolutely took it away and took that overall first place slot. They were actually so consistently managed to beat out a team that had 4 victory royales when they only had 1, having only 2 out of the 12 games that they did not place in the top 10. The victory in EU was taken by TAYSON, FAZE MONGRAAL, and Liquid MITRO. TAYSON won the previous FNCS, which is FNCS Solos, last season. Now he's come back and won the trios this time as well, making him the first 2-time champion in EU, and he's done this by winning them both in a row. MITRO and MONGRAAL are 2 of the most decorated players on this region as well, going all the way back to their dominance in the World Cup qualifiers, and really any tournament before that as well. This trio performed excellently on day 1, averaging 28 points per game, and in the first game of day 2 picked up another victory royale, which cemented them a 50-point lead. However, the next game they were contested by Gamma, Thomas HD, Flick, and BL and Ass. This led to them being eliminated off spawn 2 games in a row, and over the course of the second day, MCES and ALECC, X-Squeeze, and Wave Janus started to close the gap, up until the last game where there was only a 20-point difference between the 2. The last game was so tense of both teams fighting each other at Sweaty Sands off spawn, but with both teams going down before the placement points hit, MITRO, MONGRAAL, and TAYSON had already done what they needed to secure that podium first place finish. The winners of the Brazil region were Frosty, Kurtz, and REDLEE. This actually makes Frosty a now 2-time FNCS champion, as he won the FNCS Invitational as well. But he's not the only 2-time FNCS champion on the team. Kurtz also won the previous FNCS trios back in Season X, and similar to our Asia region, he also came second in the FNCS squads, so this was an almost 3-time FNCS champion. And REDLEE, after performing well in all of the FNCSs he's qualified for so far, this is now his first championship title. This team as a trio were first by almost 70 points, with 3 victory royales and an average of 7 eliminations per game. The average of eliminations of trios at this kind of custom style format is usually between 5.5 to 6.5, so these guys getting 7 clearly popped off on their eliminations. But not only were they as consistent with their eliminations, they got an average placement of 6.5, and the next best in the region with 10.7. These guys played the best game in terms of victory royales, average placement, and average eliminations, and that's why they're the Brazil FNCS champions.
Next up, we're moving on over to NA East, where DEYY, MERO, and REVERSEK had the most ice-cold performance, leaving everyone frozen behind them with how consistent they were overall over the 2-day grand finals. They had no victory royales, an average placement of 7.8, and 72 eliminations, which is the most in the entirety of grand finals in NA East. REVERSEK is so good at getting elims and leading the duo of DEYY and MERO, who by themselves can also clutch out crucial games for more placement and an insane amount of eliminations when they're left alive box to box. This trio plays like no other. They're just so good at finding the best spots to be in, and so good when their back is against the wall to be able to survive. They almost every single game made the top 5. Because of that, through consistency, owned NA East.
NA West is ran by 3 names, and I'm sure you've heard of them. 100 Thieves Arkham, 100 Thieves Rex, and NRG Epic Whale. This team absolutely dominated the competition, finishing on 310 points, getting 2 victory royales, but having an average placement of 4.3 and average elims of 8.5. This team knows how to take high ground, knows how to destroy everyone else in the lobby, and do it consistently. NA West was the story of who was playing for second place, because this team had over 100 points on second place. There was nobody who could stop them, and this has been the story for the entire season. Every Trio Cash Cup, every qualifying week, this team is consistently at the top of your leaderboard, and with talents like Arkham, Rex, and Epic Whale, World Cup qualifiers is anyone's surprised.
Hope you all enjoyed Chapter 2 Season 4's FNCS Trios. From me, Shyowager, and Aussie, wish you all a good next season, and we'll see you on the Battle Boss. Beep beep!